Hi there, welcome to the series called Preparation for Google Certified Educator Level 1. This is Session 2. My name is Brett Petrillo. I am indeed a Google Certified Educator and a Google Certified Trainer. You can find me on Twitter at Brett Petrillo. You can also visit my webpage, brettpetrillo.com. This session and all these sessions in the series are to help prepare you to become a Google Certified Educator Level 1. This is indeed the first level of training. After these sessions, you must take the Google Certified Educator 1 exam. This exam is hosted by Google, and I'll show you where to get that in a second. The exam costs $10, and when you finish, when you pass the exam, you can use this badge that you see here on the screen, Level 1 Certified Educator. You can put it on your web page, in your signature, anywhere that you want to market yourself as being a certified educator. Now, like I said, this comes from Google, specifically Google for Education Training Center, which can be found at edutrainingcenter.withgoogle.com. And I'm going to take just a quick second to explain that after you finish these sessions with me, I am not the one that gives you the exam. You must register for the exam at the address here on the screen. You must pass the exam, and that doesn't come from me. That comes right from Google. My goal here is just to provide you with some training and with the information I feel will go a long way toward helping you pass this exam. All right. Last week, we took a look at the different levels of being certified, from Certified Educator 1 and 2. We looked at the Trainer certification and the Innovator certification. We then dove more deeply into Chrome with specifically the options and settings. We took a look at the functionality of the bookmarks and tabs and the Omnibox. We explored all the cool things the Omnibox can do. We took a look at the web store and what you can get there, and also how to toggle back and forth between different profiles within Chrome. And we explored the benefits of going incognito. This week, or today, we're going to focus on Google Classroom, specifically with adding students and posting content. We're going to look at Guardian updates as a way to keep parents in the loop. We're going to take a look at how the stream can be organized by using topics and how you can differentiate your assignments to students. When we finish up with Google Classroom, we'll go into Gmail. Specifically with the general settings, we're going to look at labels and filters of email. We're going to look at how you can get multiple accounts to specifically take a look at emails from different accounts with one sign-in. We're going to look at how you can chat and have Hangouts from within Gmail. And then finally, we're going to explore labs and how you can use Gmail offline. All right, let's get started with Google Classroom. Now, as a teacher, when you open up Google Classroom, you'll see all of your classes here that you have created. To create a new classroom, you would go up here to the plus sign, create or join a class. When you want to add a student or students to that class, you would open that class up and click on Students, and you will see that there is a button that is clearly labeled as Invite Students. When you click on that, it'll allow you to search your contacts and add students that way. Or Google likes to provide multiple ways to do things. There is over here a class code. That class code can then be entered by the student when that student opens up Classroom on their computer. They enter this code in, and they will automatically join the classroom. Now let me demonstrate this by going to one of my demo student accounts. This is a demo student account with classes, and if a student wants to join a class that has been created by their teacher, they would click this plus sign up in the top right-hand corner that says Join Class. Then they would simply enter that code and click Join. You'll want to have all of your students join your classroom. When you have your classroom set up and you have students that have joined your classroom, you can then begin posting assignments and announcements and the such. And this is how you do it. You see on the screen here, you have one of my demo classes, Google Learning 101. If I were to post something to my students, I go down here to the bottom right-hand corner where the plus sign is. When I hover over top, you can see that I have a few options. I can reuse a post that I've already posted. I can create a question that I want to ask of my students. I can create an assignment that I want to send out to the students, or I can create an announcement. Let me demonstrate how to create an assignment. I would hover over this button that says Create Assignment and click. Here you can see that I need to title my assignment, and if I would choose, give additional options or instructions. I can choose my due date and time. I can also choose to put it in a topic, and I'll explain a little bit more about that in a second. I can choose which classes to send it to if I have multiple classes of the same section or of the same subject. I can also choose which students to send it to, all or some. When I create the assignment, I can add material as well. For example, I can attach something that is stored on my computer. I can attach something that I already have in the Google Drive. I can include a video with my instructions straight from YouTube, or I can create a link to an external source. When I have finished adding all of the information for my assignment, I would simply go to the bottom right-hand corner here and click Assign. Then the students would receive that assignment with all of the information you've provided. On the student side of things, I will go back to my demo account. For my demo student, you can see that they have a list of assignments. And just to show you what it looks like on their end, I'll click here on this assignment. They can open it directly from here or get more information. This is the information that you put in earlier when you assigned the assignment. They can open up the document and work on it right there for this example, and then turn it in. And once it's turned in, you then have access to it for grading. One last thing I want to point out on the teacher end is when you attach a Google Doc, for example, my biographical sketch, you have the choice to allow students to view the file, or if I click this little arrow right there, I can have them be able to edit the file, or I can make a copy for each student. I recommend making a copy for each student because you don't want them to edit your master file, because if you choose students can edit the file, then all students will be able to edit that one document. If they are only able to view it, then they themselves have to make a copy of it before they complete their work. Here, make a copy for each student is very similar to a photocopier. You're allowing each student to have their own individual copy of that document. Now, I want to take a quick moment to point out a recent Google Classroom update that allows teachers to differentiate assignments within Google Classroom. So here we have the assignment page that we were talking about earlier, and I referenced that you can choose which students to send an assignment to. Well, this is a fairly recent update in Google Classroom, and what this does is it allows you to send different assignments to different students. Now you can see how that could be incredibly beneficial in differentiating between students with different needs. You can send one assignment to a certain group of students, a different one to a certain group of students, allowing you to make sure that each student gets the assignment that they need that is beneficial to their learning and to their learning goals. So again, just this ability to choose which students get which assignments is fairly new, and it's a really great thing as far as differentiating your assignments in Google Classroom. Now you can see I'm back here on this home screen in my Google Classroom, Google Learning 101, and I'm actually in what's called the stream. Now, a big complaint from educators over the last year or so has been about this stream becoming very cluttered and very difficult to navigate, because every time you add an assignment or an announcement or a question, it all shows up in this stream. One thing fairly recently that I want to point out that Google did to help manage this is the creation of topics. Now, where you see it is when you create an assignment or an announcement. I referenced it earlier. Down here it says topic. Now, this is fairly new, like I said, but it's Google's way to help you organize your stream. When you create something, you can assign it a topic. Then, once that assignment or announcement has been assigned a topic, you will see, and the students as well, will see that list of topics on the left side of their stream. Therefore, you can click on it and see only the topics that they want to look at. So, a way for you to potentially organize your stream is with topics, for example, that relate to the unit you're studying. So if you are currently in a unit, you want a topic that illustrates that so that students can click on it and they will get all the information they need for that specific unit. Or you could organize it by quarter or semester, or it is completely up to you. But this is a great way to help alleviate the frustration of a stream that is disorganized. You can give them all topics, and it becomes easier to navigate. Now, one last thing I want to talk to you about in Google Classroom is the idea of Guardian email summaries. Now, this is something that has come into Google Classroom over the last year, and it's in response to the desire to have parents better connected to the classroom and getting updates. Where you go, as you can see right now, is we're in the stream. If you head up to students, you'll see on the left-hand side here, it says include this class in Guardian email summaries. This is very important. If you want to have this ability, you have to click it on. You have to have this little slider bar turn to the right. And this little notification comes on. It says Guardians receive a summary of their students' work and class announcements. You would just hit add class. Now, another feature that Google has just added here is for you to see an example of what the parents would actually see. So I'm going to show that to you right now. Opens up in a new window, gives you some information here, but this down here in the gray is the heading of an email example that you would get. So you see the week. Parents can also receive one daily or monthly. It really depends on their preferences. But in here, this one's for the week, and you see that it'll show the parents some missing work and when work is due or assignments are due, and it shows class activity from the week before and the such. So it's an email summary. The parent can also unsubscribe to these summaries as well. Now, it's important to note that this does not give your parent or the parent access to the Google Classroom. It just gives them an email update. They are simply getting a summary of what's happening in the class. So when you turn this on, the important thing you need to do now is invite guardians. So you will see the list of students in your classroom, And over here, you'll have to, once this is turned on, you'll have to click the button that says Invite Guardians. And when you do that, you'll put in the email address, and you can add another. Perhaps you want both parents on there, or any other guardian that wants to have access to what the students are doing. All right, and then you would just hit Invite, and you would do this for all of your students. And once that is done, you can also then email all guardians, quite simply like that. All right, so that's a little feature that is, I think, quite beneficial in keeping parents in the loop with regards to what's happening in the classroom. All right, just getting started here with Mail. You can see that I'm on the main screen of Mail. This is just a demo account, like I said, so I only have 4 emails in there, but it's perfect for demonstration. Let me point out a couple things. Over here, you hit a compose button if you want to write an email. And when you do so, this window down here pops up. I just really want to quickly point out some of the functionality in this window. Right now you can see it's quite small. I can also make it a bit larger to take a look at a larger email composition. And if I want to make it smaller again, I just do that. For the sake of the video, I'll keep it nice and big. There's your address, the person you're sending it to, subject, just like any other email. Down here you have a lot of choices in Gmail as far as customizing your font and the layout of the screen and bulleted lists, indenting, and quotations. But what I really want to point out is down here next to the send button. You can do an attach file, which is the typical way to attach things to other emails, but built right into Gmail is inserting files using Google Drive. So if there's anything that you have in your Drive that you want to put into the email, you would just use this button here. Because Gmail and Drive are all Google, that functionality, that integration is really, really slick and helps quite a bit. Now here, you can insert a photo right into the email. Instead of as an attachment, you can also insert links right in there. So that's quite handy. And as soon as you open up an email to compose one, it automatically saves as a draft. So you don't have to, I could close this up right now and it would be there as a draft. I don't have to save it, it's automatic. But if I don't want it as a draft, I would go down here and hit the discard draft, and that doesn't then become saved. And continuing on, here you can refresh your screen. This little box there, if you select, it'll select all of your emails or unselect, all right? And you can have the drop down as well. Or you can just select one email at a time or 2 at a time if you wish. All right, once you click on one, you get some more options. Up at the top, you can archive it, which takes it out of your inbox, but still remains searchable. You can report it as spam, or you can send it right to your trash bin, and it'll stay in your trash bin for 30 days. Then over here, you've got a little folder. You can move it to different labels or categories, and I'll talk about that in a second. You can also give it a label right there and create new labels. And there's a more option. You can mark it as read, not important. You can add it to tasks, and I'm going to show you that in a sec. You can add a star to it. You can filter these messages. I'm going to explain that in a bit. Or mute it. And you can go over here to show your next page. Now my page is showing 1 of 4, so I don't have more than 1 page, but you could go back to older or newer emails. And down here in the bottom left, you've got the chat, recent chats, and I'm going to explain that in detail later on. And if you head up here to where it says Gmail and has a little drop-down arrow, if you click on that, you can actually go right to your contacts. And because I have just this as a demo account. I don't have any contacts, but all of your contacts would show up right there. You can also drop down in there to your tasks. And your task window shows up in the bottom right-hand corner. This is quite cool because you can put down a task, and then when you have finished it, you can check it off and it'll cross it out. So you can create a nice list there. You can also go down and trash them like such, and you can add them in there as well. And that bottom right, if you click on that, it says refresh the list, name it, delete it. So this is your task window. You can close that up, but you can access it from up here underneath the Gmail tasks. For now, we're going to focus on the settings. So if you take a look over here on the top right-hand corner, you've got the settings button, and you can see that there are within that some display density settings. You have comfortable, cozy, or compact. Now I'm at comfortable right now. Cozy is a little squished, more squished together. Compact is even more together. Perhaps you like to save space and have it all together. For me, I just keep mine at comfortable. You also have down here, you can configure your inbox. I'm going to get to that in a bit. For now, I'm just going to focus on the settings, which you find right there, the general settings. All right, so you see up here in this settings, it opens up with the label up at the top. And general is what we're going to go through right now. And the first option is language. Now I have mine displayed in English, but you can click there to have a drop-down menu once my pinwheel stops spinning, and choose any language that you wish on the menu. You can also have a default country code. I'm in the Philippines. You can control the size of the page and how many conversations that you want per page. For me, I have it showing 50 and 250 contacts, but you can set that as you wish. All right. You also have control over images and how they display in your emails. I like to have them displayed always to display my external images. Sometimes you might not like that. You can have it ask you beforehand. All right. Then you have default reply behavior. I am completely against the default being reply all. Just because of the nature of emails, you do not want to make that mistake where you're replying all and you don't want to be. Sometimes the message is best returned just to the sender. So for me, I have it just in reply. Then if you head down here, you can control your text style. If you want to change your default fonts, right, and sizes and colors, it's all there. So, and it also gives you an example of what your text would look like. Okay. In conversation view, it sets whether emails of the same topic are grouped together. I have my conversation view on. Okay. And if we keep going down, send and archive. When you're replying to an email, you can have it set so that there's a button that shows up that says send and archive. Or you can hide that send and archive button. What that does is if you're replying and you send an archive, then you'll send your email and then the original thread will be archived and it won't show up in your inbox anymore. Doesn't mean you won't be able to find it, it just won't be there in your inbox. You can always look through or search through your archived email. This here, this undo send, I think is also one of the most valuable things here in settings. I often wish that I could take back an email that I just sent because I noticed perhaps a spelling error or something of the such. So you can enable undo send, and you can set for how long that lasts. Now I recommend having it set for the max amount of time, which is 30 seconds. So for 30 seconds with this setting, you'll be able to undo the send, and that button shows up, or that option shows up on the top of your screen. Here in Gmail, you have the stars. Now, the stars are a way to organize or prioritize or distinguish certain emails. They have presets, 1 star, 4 stars, or all stars. There are other colored stars that you can choose from. You can see here that I'm only using the gold star, but you've got this orange and red and purple and blue and green. And then you have bangs and other options here. All right. But there are, I guess, 6 different colored stars that you can use and other featured there. And you can set those, what you put stars on is completely up to you. Desktop notifications. This allows you to configure whether or not you get a notification on your desktop screen when you get a new email. For me, I have it here set to off. Okay. But you can have it set where new mail notifications, it notifies you when you get the message on your screen. A little pop-up notification shows up. Or if an email is labeled as important, then you can have it set so those are the only ones that show up on your desktop window. For me, I don't necessarily need these notifications, so I would just have that off there. There are keyboard shortcuts that we can talk about later on. You can turn those on or off as you choose. And then there's also button labels. You can choose whether or not they are in the form of an icon or simply just text. You can add a picture to your email that everyone sees when you email them. And here, this is where you would edit that. You would select your picture to show. The People widget allows you to see information next to the participant of a conversation. So if you want to see information about that person you're talking to, it would show it just there. This one is interesting. Create contacts for autocomplete. It says here you have 2 choices. For me, I like to have the top one checked. It says when I send a message to a new person, add them to other contacts so that I can autocomplete them next time. I like to save time. I don't like to type the whole email addresses in, so I prefer to have that checked, or you could add them yourself. Importance signals for ads. I'm going to skip by this. This is not something that you'll need to know for your test. But in the general settings is where you edit your signature if you choose to have one. What you would do is on the right side here, you would click that you want to have your signature. And then you would insert what you want in this window here and create your signature that would follow your email. And you have all the options of what type of font, and if there's links or images, you can put all the fancy stuff into your signature. And then you have the choice too, as well down here, you have the choice to insert the signature before quoted text. It's completely up to you. Here you have the option to choose whether or not your emails indicate how personal they are. So if there's just one little arrow that is sent to your address, and if there's 2 little arrow, I'm not sure what they're called, but little pointers, then that is sent only to you. I don't find that useful, so I have that personally turned off. You can choose to have snippets or little portions of the email show. I don't need, often I don't need that, but that's completely up to you. And if you are on a holiday and you choose to have an automatic response that says so or lets people know that you're coming back on a certain date, you can set that vacation responder right there. And that brings us to the end of the general settings. And at the end, you'll want to make sure that you save all your changes. They do not save automatically. You can see right here I'm in the settings, and right next to general you've got labels. I'm going to click on labels and explain these a little bit. These are the system labels that show up on your mail home screen. You can see them over here on the left. If I hit more, it drops down, and you can see all the way down to trash. That mirrors these ones right there. Inbox, starred, important chats, all the way down to trash. Now, when you click on labels in this section here, you have the option to show or hide. So if I don't want it to show up, I can hide it and it doesn't show up at all. All right. Or for example, for drafts here, I can have it show if I haven't read it. There's an added option. Same with spam. If I can have it show if I haven't read it. Okay, so those are system labels. That's automatic. Down here, you also have categories, and that is added there automatically as well from social, promotions, updates, and forums. And if you go over here into settings where I have configure inbox, well, here it gives you some more information about those categories. You see that social is messages from social networks. Promotions are like deals and offers, and they give you examples there. Updates, personal auto-generated updates, gives you, for example, bills or receipts. Forums, now online group discussion boards and mailing lists like Google groups. And the one I have clicked at the top is primary, just person-to-person conversations. That's the typical one. Now I have that checked. I don't need any of the others to show up. So that was over in the settings menu down under configure inbox. All right, but I'm going to go back to where I was before with the labels. And if you scroll all the way down, you see down here it has just regular labels and it has create new label. Well, I don't have any here, so I would have to create a new one. And this is a way for you to organize your emails by label. So perhaps I want to come up with a label like English class. And if I wanted to, I could actually nest that under a different label, one that I already have. Now, I don't have any others, so I have nothing to nest it under a parent. So I'm just going to unclick that. All right, if I create my label, you notice that it shows up right there, English class. Hide, show if unread. Okay, you have all the same options, except for over here you have the option to remove it or edit the label that you have created. Okay, so those are labels, and that will come into more use right now when we talk about filters. I'm going to skip by the inbox and accounts. I'm going right over here to filters. You see here it says the following filters are applied to all incoming mail. Well, I don't have any filters. If I want to create something that automatically filters mail to go where I want it to go, then I have to come here and I will create a new filter. Once I put in some filter requirements here, like who the email comes from or who it's sent to or the subject or has the keywords, let's say that the subject is my English class, not the label, but just the subject or just what we're talking about in English class. I want to filter all emails that have the subject English class. Well then, now you notice that this has popped up. Before I typed it, it was kind of grayed out, but now it's popped up. I can create filter with this search. And then it gives me some more options. What do I want to do with that email that has that subject? Well, I can have it skip the inbox, go right to archived. If it has that, I can mark it as read. I can star it. Or this is where it goes back to what I was talking about with labels and how labels can be very beneficial. I can apply a label. The only label that I've created is called English class, so that should be the only one that shows up. And I can go there and click on English class. Or let's say I don't have a label yet made. I can here choose to create a new label as well. All right, so I can filter everything into a label. Or I can forward it. I can delete it if it has that subject. I can ask for it never to go to spam. I can mark it as important. And this is neat because I can choose more than one thing to do. So in this case, if my subject has English class, I will give it a star. I will apply the label English class, and I will, well, that doesn't make sense. Never mark it as important. Maybe I should have it always marked as important. So I would take that off and add that one there. I can also put it into a category, one of the ones that are already created for you. All right? And then I would create my filter. And done. There it is. So you see, under filters, you have the filter that I've created. Now there's all sorts of possibilities with your filters in helping you to organize your inbox and your incoming mail. And if you go down here, you can see that this is where the list of blocked addresses, that's where they will show up, right down here. Currently, I have no blocked addresses. And quickly before we leave this section, I want to show you another spot you can see the categories and organize your inbox. Right here at the top, if you click on Inbox, and you'll notice that the first option here is Inbox Type. Now, just right off the bat, it shows up as a default. But if you click on that, it gives you some options for the design or for the layout of your inbox. Now, just to illustrate this, I'm going to click on Important first, and you'll see that the whole menu changes. So this shows that here's my inbox selections. I'm going to have Important first to everything else underneath, but I can change that, and I'm going to show you what it looks like after I do so. So for example, for important, I can take a look and say I want 5 up to 50 items shown on the screen, and then everything else would show up underneath, and the same options are there for you. But I can continue to customize this priority inbox. I can have up to 4 categories there. So for example, I can start with important things, then let's add a section. Here are all my choices. I can go with unread, important as you see, important and unread, starred, and I even have more options there as well. I can put in one of my labels that I have created as showing up right in my inbox. So for example, I could have my English class showing up right there. And then in my third section, let's say that I want everything that I have starred. Okay, so now I have 4 sections in my inbox. I'm going to show you what that looks like after I save these changes. Now it's showed up. You see the different sections. I have my important, then my English class, and I have nothing there. I have anything starred, and then everything else. So you can customize the way your inbox looks by setting up these setting up the priority inbox to show what you want to show where. Okay, so that makes it that's a really efficient, easy way to organize your inbox to help you out because sometimes that stream becomes quite difficult to navigate or to just to make sense of, and it can become overwhelming. So that's your priority inbox right there. And then you have further options down here like inbox unread count, important markers, and filtered mail. And if I didn't want my priority inbox, then I would go up here to my default, and you'll see it again shows you those 5 that we talked about earlier, and Again, I keep saying this, but Google likes to give you multiple ways to do the same thing. So you can choose whichever way you want. So here you can choose your categories that you want to show up, and you have to save your changes if you make them. Some things that are really important to know are under this Accounts and Import tab here in the settings. You can change your account settings by clicking here to change your password, or your recovery options, or other Google account settings you can access right here from your Gmail settings underneath Accounts and Import. You can also import mail and contacts. You can, from even Yahoo or Hotmail or AOL or any other webmail or POP3 accounts, you can import the mail and contacts right to Gmail. So if you're used to using several different accounts, or if you have several different accounts, you can get them all right here in Gmail. I think that's a handy feature. You can also choose to send mail from different addresses. Let's say you have different Gmail accounts. When you're sending an email, you can add another address here and then send it from that address if you choose. You can check mail from other accounts, so you would just have to add a mail account to it. And here it says using Gmail for work. We're going to skip by this a little bit because this won't be on our Google Certified Educator exam. This is interesting. Perhaps if you're an administrator, you can grant access to your account to another person or another account, and they can manage your account for you. And then also down here, if you're a Google Apps for Education school, this does not affect you, but you can add additional storage there. From here, we're going to talk about chatting and Hangouts from within Gmail. Now, I'm still here in the settings, and you see one of my tabs up here is chat. So I'm going to click on that, and I want to make sure that it is turned on. So I've got chat on. You want to make sure that's there, and then save your changes. All right. Then you'll also want to make sure, for this demonstration purpose, that under labels, where it goes down to chats, you also want to make sure that you show that. That'll give a lot of information. So you click on show, and you'll notice that it shows up over here in my system labels, because before it didn't, because it was hidden. All right. So now I'm just going to go back to Gmail, right to the normal screen here. And you can see that down in the bottom left-hand corner, this is where these chats take place. And I have no recent ones, but you can see very clearly how you can start a new one. You just click on the button, and you would enter, this is the cool part, a name, email, or phone number by someone that you want to just chat with, and it happens right here in the window. You can also, so that's by hitting this little plus sign there. You can also click on what you want. Now, you can see your conversations down here in the bottom left. You can also telephone call and have a list of all your Hangouts right there. So you can chat with people, you can have a hangout with people, you can talk with a group, and orchestrate it all from within Gmail, simply by coming down here to the bottom left-hand corner and clicking on this plus sign and beginning or typing in the email or phone number or the name if they're in your contact list. Then when you click on this the label up here, the system label, if you clicked on it, you would see a history of the chats right there in your chat history. So Gmail makes it quite easy to talk with colleagues and to collaborate right there within the app. And a couple things to finish off our discussion with Gmail. We're going to go back into settings, and I'm going to talk a little bit about labs. You see this up here, labs, and I'm going to click on that. Now, labs are very interesting, and you see it right here on the screen where it says some crazy experimental stuff. Well, this is where Google is just testing out features. There's some cool things in here that you can take a look at, but they are just testing it out. So they can disappear, they can stop working, they might not be there, so they throw that little disclaimer there. They may change, break, or disappear at any time. That's not to discourage you from using them, because they can be pretty cool. So if you filter through here, you can take a look. This one here is canned responses. And keep filtering through preview pane, quick links, right side chat. So right now the chat is on the left, where you could enable that to have it go on the right. Anyway, the most important thing here is take a look, try them out, see if you like them. But these are Google's way of just testing out some neat ideas that they have. All right, so that is Labs in Gmail. And now right next to Labs is a little tab called Offline. All right, and if you click on Offline, you have to install Gmail offline for it to work. And you'll see that once I click on it, it opens up the Chrome Web Store and it says Gmail offline. Add it to Chrome. And you can add the app. So you can see it there in my list of apps. Now, if I open this up, you see that it says allow offline mail. You can hit allow and continue. And you'll see that there is now a different window that pops up, different in the way it looks from the regular Gmail, but this will allow you to check your mail and your inbox, whatever's in your inbox, and archive and delete all offline. All right. So if I now go to my apps, and I can find that all the time. So if I'm somewhere where there is no Wi-Fi or internet connection, I can click on that and work in my inbox just without an internet connection. I think it's pretty handy. Now let's take a look at some exam review questions and work on them together. Let's start with this question. How do you invite a teacher to chat if he or she is not on your automatic contacts list? You would simply type the entire email address or phone number in the bar provided. Is it possible to chat in Gmail? Yes, it is possible to chat in Gmail. You can also video conference or do a Hangout right from within Gmail. What happens in Gmail when you archive an email? When you archive an email, it gets removed from your inbox, but it is still searchable. So if you're looking to find it later on, you just have to search for it. Name a way that will help you organize your Google Classroom stream. What should come to mind here is topics. If you add a topic to your assignments or announcements, then that will go a long way toward helping you organize the stream. How can you keep parents informed with what's happening in the Google Classroom? Well, what you want to do here is register for the Guardian email summaries. You have to turn that on in your classroom and then add your parent or guardian emails. All right. Next week, we're going to be focusing quite a bit on Google Docs. The entire session will be with regards to Google Docs, and specifically in formatting, comments, email comments, sharing, tables, columns, footnotes, the new feature Explore in Google Docs, and creating the table of contents. Well, thank you very much for watching the video, and I look forward to talking with you next time in session 3 of Preparing to Become a Google Certified Educator Level 1. Thank you very much.